Greg Short is coaching his sister's hockey team. They're down 2-0 in the last period. They've still got time. But Greg Short has a bigger battle on his hands. And his game is over. He lost his job last week.
It's a strange feeling when you work hard and then someone tells you you're not needed anymore.
Short was one of 100 employees at Precision Nuclear. They were all laid off when the company's mounting success came to a startling halt.
Greg Short and the other employees at Precision Nuclear were laid off at just about the worst economic time possible, in the middle of a global recession. But Short says the reason he lost his job has nothing to do with the economy and a lot more to do with a lack of money. And it all started here in Mactaquac, New Brunswick.
Just a couple years ago, this was just a grass field. Now it's home to Precision Nuclear, a company that built its very foundation staking its future on the booming nuclear industry in the province.
And we built this business anticipating that there would be about 20 years worth of work here and business here. And we knew that the first contract was going to be difficult, and we anticipated that it may even be a money-losing scenario.
That first contract was with Atomic Energy of Canada to supply parts for the refurbishment of the Point Lepreau nuclear reactor. The province got behind the project, announcing a significant loan to help them get started.
Right here at home in New Brunswick, in Canada.
By spring, things were looking up. Precision Nuclear was named the fastest growing company in Atlantic Canada. Their growth rate? An estimated 360,000%. But over the next year, things started turning sour. Atomic Energy of Canada Limited, or AECL, was Precision's only customer. And when Precision found itself over budget, AECL had to cover the unexpected costs. Workers had to be trained to handle million-dollar machines. Materials had to undergo expensive testing. And all of this with mounting pressure from the public to finish Lepreau on time. LeBlanc says they underestimated the startup costs.
So I'm not going to say there weren't cost overruns, and I'm not going to say there weren't mistakes either at the outset. It really was difficult getting the right team in place and getting production up to where it had to be.
AECL wouldn't speak to us on camera, but in a statement they told us Precision was unable to fund its operations. It was behind schedule in meeting its production deadlines, and its continued viability as a company was in jeopardy. By mid-January of 2009, the Lepreau project was over budget and 3 months late. Over the last year, Precision and AECL had been in and out of court. AECL wanted to pull their contract, but they worked it out, and by the end of the month, they were back up to speed and had started work on a second contract with AECL to supply parts for a nuclear reactor in South Korea, a project called Wosung. And then, a shocking surprise.
Till 3 I worked on my machine just like I always do, and at 3 o'clock they called a meeting and we all went upstairs, everyone who was in the shop at the time, and just said that's it.
Joe Dunn remembers the day clearly.
On that Friday, just as soon as the last Point Lepreau infitting went in the box, ACL pulled the plug on the Wosung contract, which is the Korean contract, and everybody was laid off that afternoon. It's quite surprising, actually. I really thought that we got a quarter of the next contract in process already. It's already gone through the system in its various stages in the system, and about 25 infittings are ready to be assembled, but they just pulled the plug on it all.
Precision had no customers and no way of paying its employees.
And so these people had just been putting their hearts and souls into it, and we had to say, okay, this is it, we're done.
AECL says Precision just didn't have the money to run their business effectively. But LeBlanc says that just doesn't make sense.
If they had done it even 3 months before, definitely if they'd done it 6 months before, but even 3 months before, we probably would have said, you know what, that makes sense, we're not getting this, and you know, you're right, take the contract away from us or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that they waited until it was going extremely well to try to take the company away from my boss. So it was just kind of bizarre.
Joe Dunn was just as shocked. He's worked at Precision from the very start. Now he's filing for unemployment for the first time in 23 years. He said the province should have done more.
The biggest surprise I've had is New Brunswick. The New Brunswick government has not stepped in and helped this company out. They're always trying for bring the young people back from Calgary, from Yellowknife, places like that, Fort McMurray. Well, there's nothing for them to come back to because they're not helping the companies here that are trying to develop the high-tech industries and the good-paying jobs. This was a good-paying job for a lot of local people and a lot of chance for people to better themselves educational-wise, like training, and for financially too. But it's a shame.
Greg Byrne is the Minister of Business, New Brunswick.
Well, it's very difficult. It's unfortunate that the company has found itself in the position that it is, but it really is a relationship between two private companies.
Greg Short says New Brunswick will need to amp up its efforts if it wants to keep skilled workers here.
I don't know what the answer is for New Brunswick to create jobs, but there's got to be some big time investment just to get things going and to get things going solidly.
Dunn says it's a problem that's plaguing the province.
I mean, this could be around for years. My kids could be working here. They could be retiring here. But unless we have a government that's going to commit themselves and really help out, that's not going to happen. They're all going to be going out west.
And that's exactly where Greg Short is headed. Short came to the province last year to work his way through school. Now he's left without a job and without much hope for staying in the province. He says his girlfriend has already gotten a job in Calgary and he hopes to do the same.
I mean, I'd still much rather stay here, but I have bills to pay, and it's I don't want to live here badly enough that I'll, live in poverty.
The province says it's doing all it can to create jobs here, but for the 100 people that lost their jobs, it's simply too late. I'm Stephanie vanKampen in Mactaquac, New Brunswick.